Hello, Columbia. We're back. This is The Principle on 95.9 The Point, 95.9 FM, 1470. What, Corey?
We're back?
Yeah.
This is our first segment.
We're back from last Sunday. Today we're going to be talking about, I guess we're going to start... There we go. Okay. So we're going to start with the Baltimore Riots today. The number, guys, if you want to call in, is 803-799-TALK. That's 803-799-8255. And today we want to talk about the Baltimore Riots. We also want to talk about gay marriage and drug prohibition. And I think these things all will tie into each other. So, the Baltimore Riots. Chris?
So,
Corey?
I'm having some technical difficulties over here.
I'm trying to figure out how that's going to tie into gay marriage.
We've got sound in one ear, so I was just trying to make sure I'm hooked up the right way.
We're off to a rough start.
Yeah, just
we have the most high-tech equipment, yet it's...
There we go. Okay.
All right.
Going again. I'm going to get dizzy, I think, here in a minute, because keep switching from ear to ear to ear. Anyway, yeah, so Baltimore. What's going on in Baltimore? Do you know the backstory?
Actually, I didn't spend a lot of time on Facebook for the past few days, so I didn't. Can you
You don't have to spend a lot of time on Facebook. You just have to pay attention to the news.
I don't watch the news. Are you kidding?
Yeah, I am. So this guy, I don't know the full story. That there was a guy in Baltimore who was arrested, and he was basically, the cops said he made eye contact and then ran away, and they ran him down and arrested him, and they were transporting him.
Oh, it was a look and run.
Yeah.
It was a drug. It was a drug area, and they were just roaming and they turned the corner, and this guy caught the eye contact, and all of a sudden he started running. So they chased him down, and
you have less rights in certain neighborhoods.
Well, in certain areas you can't look legally.
Right. Yeah, you can't make eye contact, and you can't run either.
Right.
But they arrested him, and they were transporting him, and at some point they stopped, is what I heard the story was. Basically, they stopped and took him out of the transport van or whatever.
He was like in handcuffs, I guess?
Yep. That's the way I understood it. Either way, it doesn't really matter. He ended up with 2 or 3 vertebrae smashed.
Oh, they took him out of the van and started beating him?
It wasn't clear that, the video that was
it's all real vague right now.
Yeah, and the video does not show a beating. It shows right before they're picking him up and his legs dangling, because they also snapped one of his legs to the point that it's hanging from the meat only, and put him back in the police van, and he died.
And the spinal cord was 80% severed.
Yeah, spinal cord had been severed. And they put him in the police van. They were just doing their job,
right,
enforcing the laws, protecting and serving. They just wanted to get home to their families,
right? So
they smashed his vertebrae, and now there's a lot of what are in essence riots going on in Baltimore, but it doesn't seem to be getting a lot of mainstream press.
Who is rioting in Baltimore?
Well, it's mostly, I don't know. I mean, it's mostly the black community right now, from what I can tell, but it's not, but the good thing is they seem to be rioting towards the people. They seem to be directing their anger at the right people for a change, instead of just indiscriminately destroying property.
So who are they directing their anger towards?
Well, who would you direct your anger towards if you've been victimized by a gang of thugs in costumes?
I guess the gang of thugs.
Right.
So they're actually rioting, and they're taking their anger out against the police in Baltimore.
Right. But there was supposedly a reporter, a white female reporter, that was assaulted. But, who knows what the details are on that. And I just hope that if they're going to be, you can only poke a community in the eye for so long before they try to break your finger off.
Right.
And I just hope that they keep their anger directed at the people they should be angry at, and not indiscriminately at white people.
Oh, it's becoming one of those
Rodney King kind of deal.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing that's so frustrating to me that you see happen and it's because of the mainstream media. They drive that point home. It's Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. Actually, all lives matter, and it's not even remotely just black people that the cops are murdering and beating and assaulting. There was a case not too long ago of a white female that cop jumped up on the hood and started shooting her through the windshield because when she was leaving a party, because he said that the car brushed him or something like that. Like she was just driving out and he had pulled up and was obstructing the road and it kind of, the only video of it was on a dash cam and it had gone out of frame where you couldn't see what was going on, but the end result is he jumped on the hood and started shooting her through the windshield.
So instead of getting out of the way of the car, he just jumped on top of it and murdered her.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. So
feared for his life.
Yeah, because he was afraid for you know if I jumped on someone's hood, I'd probably be afraid for my life too. But,
right.
But the whole thing that drives me crazy is that the mainstream media and people like Farrakhan and I'm not Farrakhan, excuse me, Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, they push this whole racial divide. You know, it's blacks against whites. It's white cops killing black people. It's actually cops killing people. Period, regardless of race. And to push that line is to do the community a disservice because you create a situation where there's indiscriminate where there's just anger directed at the people who are really not the problem. It's not all. It's not. You don't deal. You don't.
You make it into a racial issue instead of a law issue.
Right. Instead of it being the cops are killing people. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's black cops, it's white cops. It doesn't matter what color the people are. I mean, it's cops are killing people, and they're.
It seems that police seems to be the common denominator in these cases.
Yeah.
Not so much race.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I hate seeing things turn into a race issue because you lose all credibility with me when you make it just about race because that means you have no idea what the real problem is.
Mm-hmm. And then all the yahoos come out of the framework and screw it all up.
Yep. And you become no better than the people you're trying to fight against.
I think on a related note, I think that Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton now are kind of losing their credibility. I think a lot of people are starting to kind of wake up to the game they play.
I hope so. I mean, because
from what I see,
they thrive on keeping the racial divide in place. You know, they wouldn't have anything to do. They wouldn't if they couldn't foment enough racial hatred to divide between the races.
I've never looked into it, but I wonder how they're funded. I'm sure they're funded through the DNC, so it's actually
and Rainbow Coalition and Jesse Jackson has.
I'm sure it goes back to it's just political
and things.
Yeah, it's just.
So, either way, it's well, like in Charleston, we talked about it a week before last. That the guy down in Charleston, it was a white guy that shot Michael Scott, but then it was a black cop that helped him cover it up.
Right.
So it's not about race, and if you're directing your anger at one race or another, if you're white and you're directing your anger at the black race, you're wrong. If you're black and you're directing your anger at the white race, you're wrong. There is a common denominator. The people who are doing the beatings, the assaults, the murders, doesn't matter what skin color there is. They're of all skin colors, but they all are wearing state-issued costumes.
Right.
And state-issued little pieces of metal on their chest that evidently are, the costumes are woven from the thread of God that somehow gives them so much more power and makes them divine and infallible.
I think cops would have a lot more authority if they wore the little powdered wigs on duty.
Yes, absolutely.
I would definitely respect their authority then.
Respect my authority.
All right, guys, you're listening to The Principle on 95.9 The Point. We'll be right back after this.
How do we do it? Volume and echo. This is The Point at 95.9 FM and 1470 AM.
Are payday loans ruining your life? Do you want control over your money again? If you have 2 or more payday loan cash advances, listen closely. You may be eligible for a program payday loan companies don't want you to know about. A program that may help get aggressive and unfair payday loan companies out of your bank account and get you back on track to financial freedom. Payday loan companies may trap you into paying outrageously high interest rates, and they take way too much of your hard-earned money every week. We understand their tactics and know how to keep them off your back. We'll fight hard to help you regain control of your money. If you have 2 or more payday loan cash advances, call right now for a free consultation. 800-957-6069, 800-957-6069, 800-957-6069, 800-957-6069.
Doc, you gotta give it to me straight.
All right.
Because I'm dying here. I mean, take a look at this letter from the IRS.
Oh, my.
This is killing me, Doc. I tell you, it's killing me.
Cheer up, my friend.
Huh?
The tax doctor is here. My diagnosis tells me that you're going to be just fine.
Really?
The tax doctor will not rest until we find you the best possible tax settlement.
Really, Doc?
Guaranteed.
If the IRS claims you owe them $10,000 or more in business or personal back taxes, call a tax doctor right now. We could save you up to 75% if you qualify. Guaranteed or you pay nothing. Call right now for free details.
800-917-8611. 800-917-8611. 800-917-8611. That's 800-917-8611.
Hey, parents of children with asthma, here's the Breathe Easies with another one of your favorite hits.
Don't smoke in the house. Don't smoke in the house. Don't smoke around the kids in the house. Don't smoke in the car. Don't smoke in the house. Don't break my heart with your secondhand smoke in the kids. It can trigger the asthma.
Preventing asthma attacks can be as simple as making your home and car smoke-free zones. For more Breathe Easy tips to help stop asthma attacks, go to noattacks.org. Up next, well, what do you know? The Breathe Easies with another hit song, Vacuum Up the Floor.
Vacuum up the floor. Vacuum up the floor. Yeah! Vacuum up the floor. The asthma trigger is no more. You gotta vacuum up the furniture and vacuum in the cracks because the dander and the dust can give kids asthma attacks.
Simple steps can help your kids breathe easier. Vacuum up the floor to keep your house free of dust, dander, and dust mites. For more Breathe Easy tips to help stop asthma attacks, go to noattacks.org. Brought to you by the EPA and the Ad Council.
Columbia's local talk radio experience. This is The Point. 95.9 FM and 1470 AM.
All right, we're back, guys. You're listening to The Principle on 95.9 The Point, 95.9 FM, 1470 AM. MakeThePointRadio.com if you're out of town, or with the TuneIn app on your cell phone, your Android or iPhone phone. The number, if you want to call in and join the discussion, is 803-799-TALK. That's 803-799-8255. You can get on the line and discuss this with us. We're talking about the riots in Baltimore. So if you didn't catch the first part of the show, good, because it was pretty rough getting off the ground. We were talking about what led up to these riots and about how. Go ahead.
Yeah, I highly recommend a set of books called Conceived in Liberty. It's Murray Rothbard's analysis of history leading up to Revolutionary War and a little bit afterwards. And there were, believe it or not, especially during colonial days in the Northeast, there were a lot of riots. There were a lot of, people would be angry about the way that what they call quick rents, the rents that were paid to the land proprietors, because it was basically run like governorships and they owned the land and it was given to them by the crown and all this kind of thing.
So there was. It was illegitimately owned land, you're saying? And
there was a lot of conflict early on about how the land would be apportioned.
Okay.
That's why North and South Carolina is divided, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, like the Scotch-Irish believed in what amounted to homesteading rights, but they called it something else. There was tomahawk rights, there was cabin rights, but it was all a form of homesteading, meaning that if you applied your labor to the land, and it was previously unowned land or unworked land, that you owned it. The Quakers did differently. They would actually negotiate with the Native Americans to purchase land from the Native Americans because they felt the Native Americans were the rightful owner, and that anyway.
Wow, that was cool of them.
Yeah, exactly. The Quakers were actually very
didn't rape and pillage the Native Americans.
Yeah, they were very.
Cool.
Yeah, they believed in treating them just like
human
everyone
beings,
else.
maybe?
Yes.
Oh.
And Pennsylvania started out as a extremely libertarian, anarchist colony. They did not agree to taxation at all. They did, Anyway, that's getting off topic. The point is that there was a lot of conflict early on, and you had a lot of little squabbles. Like in New Jersey, for instance, there was a lot of uprisings, and there were people. They would break people out of jail. That the governor's enforcers would come and take someone off to jail, and then the people would show up and bust them out of jail. And there were a lot of these little.
That's kind of like the market at work.
Yeah, exactly. But
if it's unjust, we'll go take care of it.
Right,
Yeah.
And that's the way. There was a lot of that, and what really stands out to me about a lot of what went on is they were very principled people. They didn't go in and indiscriminately destroy property. They were mad at the people that they should have been mad at. Their anger was directed at those people, and they were going to duke it out with those people, and then they were going to go back about their business once it got settled.
They didn't get lost along the way.
They didn't get lost along the way. They didn't say, well, it's a Native American versus Puritan thing. There was a lot of people. The Puritans were evil people. That's a whole other topic. The Puritans were pure evil, in my opinion. But
a lot of the difference there is you had people that were angry about a subject, and they went to deal with the subject. And a lot of these things, like the Rodney King, there was just a bunch of people going wild and stealing stuff that didn't have nothing to do with anything. Well, so there's not they were mad about a subject; they were just. Well, this is our chance to.
But they should be mad about a subject. It's police brutality.
I'm just saying that's the difference.
But that's what the point I'm working up to. Okay. I'm taking I'm going around my elbow to get my rear end on it. But the whole idea is that there were, if there is such a thing, there were noble riots. There were riots with a purpose.
Yeah. Justified.
No, they were more than protests. They were shooting people. They're shooting at people, whatever. But they were, in essence, noble riots. They were here.
Like the Whiskey Rebellion.
We're mad because you're trying to tax us, and we don't agree to tax. We're mad because you're trying to say that we don't own the land that we've worked and you haven't touched. Whatever. And we want this dealt with. And they went in with a purpose. Things like this Baltimore riot, and I've already seen videos where they're indiscriminately starting to destroy other cars and things like that. It's so frustrating to me because I understand the anger. The anger makes 100,000% sense to me. But the way it's being applied doesn't. Mm-hmm. I think it honestly is indicative of the tyrannical nature of the police state. What it comes down to is that people are directing their anger at everything instead of where the problem lies, because they know if they direct the anger where the problem lies, the police in this case, they're going to send in the riot police, and everybody's going to be, especially if you use any real physical force against the police, they're just going to go overboard and, beat you to death or shoot you or murder
you. Yeah, in this situation, they
fear for their life.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that's why it happens the way it does, is because if you direct the anger at the people they are angry at, you're going to lose quickly.
The people you should be angry with are heavily armed.
Right.
And they sort of have a license to kill. So
yes, yes. So I guess that's why it goes down the way it does. But the thing is if you're not willing to risk anything, you're not going to gain anything. Mm-hmm. If you're not willing to risk, if it's not worth your life to fight, then don't fight.
Right.
Stay at home and keep your mouth shut. Because otherwise, if you're just indiscriminately destroying property, you're definitely not accomplishing anything, and you're going to turn people.
You're starting to act like police at that point.
You're going to have everybody calling for more police.
Yes, that's all it is.
Right.
Well, now you're going to have that no matter what. that's going to happen because all of these flag worshiping statists out there that think that the solution to a riot is to stomp on people's throats harder. And there's that you're gonna get that no matter what. But you're going to lose people like me who see a good reason to be angry and would be supportive of your anger if you've directed your anger in the right place. I don't blame you. But if you're going to just indiscriminately destroy property and assault people, then you've lost me. You've lost me big time. That's one of the reasons I was not happy about what went on in Ferguson. Is that was just let's just go destroy a bunch of people's property, a bunch of people who hadn't done anything to anyone. The AutoZone or O'Reilly's or whatever it was down there. I mean, that was a business that served the community. Let's go destroy it. Come on, really? You're not accomplishing anything.
Yeah, in Ferguson, they made a victim out of everyone but the police, it seemed like.
They were mad at everybody but the police.
Right. I don't know.
I've never understood that. I understand the whole thing is well, if I go over and punch a cop in the mouth, then my arm's going to get broken. That's why I don't go punching a cop in the mouth, and I'm not saying you should. But if you think there's a legitimate reason to be mad and you want to defend yourself against anyone, it shouldn't matter whether they're wearing a uniform or not. I mean, you have a right to self-defense, period. But if you're not willing to risk anything, you're not going to gain anything. That's all there is to it. And if all you want to in destroying private property and breaking windows and destroying individually owned cars is not, you're not gaining anything. You're losing.
Well, from like I said, I haven't really seen much of the Baltimore situation. What do you think the percentage is, if you had to guess? Do you think it seems like mostly anger directed in the right place, or is it mostly just
well, it's starting to devolve.
Yeah.
From what I've seen.
How long has it been going on?
A couple of days.
Okay.
Off and on for a couple of days, and it's starting to devolve and head in the wrong direction. And I think, it's indicative of people who are frustrated and they're not achieving any desired outcome.
I talked to them on Facebook before, these Black Lives Matter people, and asked them what their goal was, and they had no goal whatsoever. They were completely lost when I asked them, what are you trying to achieve? Justice. Well, what do you mean by that? Equal what? You want the same amount of white people beat as you want black people? What is your goal?
You just hear these empty platitudes.
That's all it is. They're just yelling to be yelling, and they don't. If you sit down to have an agreement, what would the agreement be? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
So what's your point? If you don't have a principled point to make, then that's why it's a riot, because you have nothing.
I think
it's just a bunch of yelling and screaming at that point.
Yeah.
I think that police need to start killing. I may have said this before. Start killing more white people. That way we know they're not racist. I think if we would, maybe the police as a whole could just kill more white people.
I think they need to kill more Asian people.
Well, just people of all of the races should be killed equally.
More.
That way we could see what they really are.
Right.
What they really do.
Yeah.
It frustrates me that because it's the truth. I mean, black people do get killed a lot more by police. And it makes, when the media gets a hold of that, it makes it really easy to twist the facts of what's really going on, like the real situation that we have here. The police state and the militarization and.
Well, drug prohibition is something else we were going to talk about, and personally, I think that's one of the biggest reasons that you see more black people murdered by cops than other races, is because poverty and drug prohibition. Mm-hmm. I mean, drug prohibition has given the cops a blank check to militarize the heck out of themselves. I mean, because of drug prohibition, we have no-knock raids. Mm-hmm. We have armored personnel carriers.
Asset forfeiture.
Mm-hmm. They can really screw up your whole life for some pot.
Yeah, instantly.
They can take your house
for a dime bag. Yeah.
Yeah, they can literally steal your house from you.
Yeah.
And who's going to stop them? We'll be right back, guys. Stay tuned.
What was that?
That was the blue thing. They were all pulled down though, so must have pulled it down too far.
I hope we're not on the air right now.
Community frustrated but determined to end what many believe is a pattern of police brutality.
We are going to continue to push the Baltimore City Police Department into giving us the information and giving us the truth.
Gray's lawyer telling me his biggest frustration, not yet having access to radio calls, possible 911 calls, and all the surveillance footage. Tomorrow, the family prepares to bury Freddie Gray.
ABC's Gloria Riviera. Relief efforts in their early stages after the magnitude 7.8 earthquake that shattered Nepal. More than 2,500 people known dead. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has arrived in the U.S. He is in Boston, speaking tomorrow at Harvard before heading to Washington on Tuesday, and then Los Angeles and San Francisco. Richard Cantu, ABC News.
A promise was made. A promise that hit the beaches of Normandy. A covenant that split the skies over Berlin. A vow that captured Iwo Jima. A promise was made. A solemn oath that liberated Seoul. A sacred trust that defended Khe-Sanh. A pact that dug in Da Nang. A contract that weathered Tet. A promise was made. A pledge that stormed the desert in Iraq. A bond that patrolled door to door in Fallujah. An IOU that braved IEDs in Kandahar. A promise was made to America's veterans. A promise we all must keep. DAV fights for all veterans and their families so they get the health care, financial benefits, and support they earned. If you're a veteran who needs help or you'd like to help us keep the promise, visit DAV.org.
We all know healthcare has changed drastically. It's quite the puzzle to sort through your options and find a health insurance plan that's affordable and maximizes your benefits. And you're now required by law to have health insurance or you may pay a tax penalty. So let the Health Markets Insurance Agency help you. They offer plans from over 120 different companies and can even help you obtain government subsidies. Let them do all the research for you and show you how affordable health insurance can be, a service that's at no extra cost to you. Call now and learn your options to find affordable health insurance. 800-980-9325. 800-980-9325, 800-980-9325, 800-980-9325. Health Markets Insurance Agency is a DBA or assumed name of Insphere Insurance Solutions, Inc., which is a licensed insurance agency in all 50 states and D.C. Not all agents are licensed to sell all products. Service availability varies by state.
You are a waste. A loser. Everyone hates you. Why don't you just stay in your car and keep driving? I'm serious. Drive until you run out of gas, then get out of your car and walk until you find someone who doesn't think you're dumber than bricks. Could take a while, but at least all that walking might burn a couple of calories.
You may not witness bullying like this every day. Your kids do. They want to help, but they don't know how. Visit stopbullying.gov to learn safe, simple ways your child can help stop bullying. Be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
Oh, she may be weary.
Taking it down a little bit for you guys.
Young girls, they do get weary.
You're listening to The Principle on 95.9 The Point, 95.9 FM, 1470 AM, MakeThePointRadio.com, or on the iTunes app on your cell phone. The number, if you guys want to join the discussion. By the way, we're about to be talking about drug prohibition, what it's for, what ends up happening, and what happens, I guess. Anyways, the number, guys, if you want to join the discussion is 803-799-TALK, 803-799-8255. If you want to jump in on this, I think most people have pretty strong opinions on drug prohibition, regardless of which side they're on. So, Corey, drug prohibition.
Yeah, so
which president started that?
Well, it was kind of phased in over time.
On drugs?
It was, well, Reagan started the Just Say No, and
it's been 100
but it's been
years.
phased in.
Who actually declared war on drugs?
I think that was
the
Reagan,
term,
around
the
Reagan,
term,
yeah, war on drugs. But there's a reason that they repealed alcohol prohibition. It didn't work. It gave rise to people like Al Capone. But for some reason, people,
what it did was make alcohol really profitable.
Really profitable.
When you make something illegal, it just shows up on the black market, and when it's on the black market, there's a lot more money and a lot more incentive to get into that kind of business.
Well, and there's also, I think, people that wouldn't have necessarily been drinkers that chose to be drinkers because it was fashionable to buck the system.
Right. It was enticing. It was dangerous.
The taboo made it alluring.
Right.
So the way
it also made it dangerous because then they were selling liquor that you couldn't report because it was illegal. So then you couldn't report when it was bad.
Actually, the federal government poisoned it.
Really?
The federal government poisoned.
No, there's a lot of thinning it down and stuff too.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, it made it where it wasn't good quality, like taste wise, but not so
heard
much.
some pretty nasty stuff they put in.
Sure, but not necessarily completely deadly. I mean,
well, the point being that what are you going to do about it?
Right.
Because there's nothing held
because it's illegal.
Because it's
you're going to resort to crime. I mean,
you're gonna call the cops because you got ripped off on your bag of weed. Yeah,
people do that. That's the most hilarious thing when you see that happen.
But so it didn't work with alcohol, and for some reason, people magically think that it will work with illicit drugs. I can't wrap my mind around that type of logic or lack thereof. That
right.
and when you consider that methadone is legal, but heroin is illegal, what's the difference between the two?
Well, one was produced by a pharmaceutical company with a bunch of...
one has a bunch of lobbyists backing it.
Right, exactly.
So it's ridiculous. And here's the other thing that gets me, is that people actually think that... sorry, I lost my train of thought. People, if you are opposed to drug prohibition, people think that is akin to you saying people should do more drugs.
Right.
It's not. No, I don't think you should. My dad at one point was hooked on crack. And
really?
And I've seen the effects firsthand that has on someone. It's not pretty, and you shouldn't do it. That you should stay away from it. But legal or illegal.
But when you prohibit crack, what you do is take somebody who has a problem,
make them a criminal.
Right. And any type of addiction, no matter what an addiction is, any type of addiction is not good for your life. It's not good for your family. Right. It's very detrimental to you and the rest of your life. And then what you're doing is taking people in that situation and sending people with guns after them and sending them into hiding, not letting them get the help that they might want and things like that. So you end up just beating them and locking them in cages, and that's supposed to... When you get out of jail, what's the first thing you're gonna want?
You send them to crime school.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you send them with a bunch of other hardened quote criminals who figure out how to game the system and things like that. And anyway, we have our first call tonight. It's David. Hey, David.
Hello, 3 C's. How you guys doing?
Hey. Good. How are you?
Fine.
Good. What you want to talk about?
I have the previous subject. I have some concerns. And correct me if I misunderstood you.
Okay.
With regard to the police situation around this nation, there are a lot of things that are involved. There are a lot of elements. And I just want to caution you not to sanitize it to the extent to where it's misrepresented.
Okay.
Race is a part of it.
Oh, no doubt.
Agreed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it just seems as if you wanted, just my understanding, it seems like you just wanted to extract that from it. It's a part of it.
It's
I think the point that we're trying to make is that race is a part of it, but race isn't the main part of it.
If 70% of the victims of the police department are black, it doesn't matter to the fact that it's still people being abused. So you don't need to point out that they're black. The other 30% matter too. What we need to say is the police are abusing citizens, which they shouldn't be doing. When you point out that only these people shouldn't be abused and it's okay if the others are, I mean then you're turning it into something that it's not. There
I
should
don't
be
think
no
that's
abuse.
what people are saying. At least
But
that's not what I'm saying.
That's what it comes off as. And like I said,
Well, it shouldn't come off like that to any reasonably thinking person. You know, I mean, it's like it's.
David, my thing too is that I don't think anger should be directed at white America. It should be directed at people in uniform,
and that's what happens. That's the point.
I think the three of you have seen my posts on Facebook enough to know that I'm more in disagreement with the color of the uniform. That color,
right?
The blue is mine.
Yeah, it's a blue problem,
if you will. And with regard to people keep bringing up Jesse Jackson, they keep bringing up Al Sharpton. Here's what we need to balance this mess out.
Okay.
We need more people to be activists, and that way they won't seem to be so big. Now, you know, the three of you are activists with regard to the anarchist movement, if you will. And I sit and I listen and I embrace a lot of what you say. So what we need here in the United States of America, we need more people, and we don't need to view Mr. Sharpton or Jackson as villains, because to the best of my understanding, they haven't killed anyone.
Right.
You know, they are just, if you will, flipping the light on to let us see all the ropes.
But what we need is people arguing for a principle. They need to have a point that they're making and not just saying we're being abused. They need a cure. Because if you can't argue the cure, then you're doing nothing but yelling. So, okay.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The cure is to announce and point out, and we need more people.
No, pointing out isn't curing anything. Pointing out is just saying it's happening. What do you do to stop it?
If you don't know, if you're not aware of a situation, then you cannot remedy it, and so you have to point it out.
I agree with that.
I agree with that. But at that point, what are you saying to cure it? That's one. They should be spouting a cure right now.
They've been at this for like what, 10, 20 years.
You should have a sign right now saying this is what we want done.
Yeah, like basically, this is the problem, and here's the cure for it.
Exactly.
Well, here's what I want done.
All right.
I want the police officers to be retrained, restrained, and be taught that we are their employers, and they are not our employers.
David, I would love to see that happen, but I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Well, if you did, it wouldn't mean anything. That means absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and even if you did, I mean,
because they say that now.
The system still owns the police, the courts, the judges, the prosecutor. It's
a
still
rigged system.
It's a rigged
system.
system.
Their mantra now is they're our servants. That's their mantra.
But we have to de-rig, if that's such a term, this system.
Exactly.
I agree. We need to have more citations issued rather than attempted arrests.
No, that's not the answer.
I think. I don't.
Okay, Chris, what is the answer then?
We don't need.
You asked me what.
Less police involvement in our lives, not more.
I think there need to be less laws first.
Since they are involved, they need to be redirected. You need to have a policy where you're issuing more citations to where there are less incidents out there on the street. Okay, you don't want to go with me. Okay, depending on what the situation is, you don't have to go with me. Here's the citation. See you in court. And I believe there will be less citizens killed on the street. And we should not have citizens killed because of the way the situation morphed. You know, if you got a broken tail light or whatever, you should not be killed because you ran.
No, that's for sure. I don't think you should be pulled over for a broken tail light.
Citizens should not be persecuted for a situation that morphed.
Hey, David, hold that thought. We're coming up on a break. We'll come right back to you after this. All right.
All right.
The hardest working man in radio.
Hardest working man. I'm the hardest working man in radio.
Kevin Cohen is doing mornings and afternoons on The Point.
Since 1989, The Office Place has been the Midland's premier destination for new and pre-owned office furniture. The Office Place is a full-service dealership, providing layout, design, installation, and service after the sale. So, if you're in the market for office furniture, look them up at officeplace.net. Give them a call at 803-799-3375 or head over to 301C Greystone Boulevard here in Columbia, South Carolina.
A message from DAV to all returning veterans. Thank you. Thank you for doing your duty. Thank you for doing our bidding. Thank you for stepping up and not backing down. Thank you for putting your future on hold to put our enemies on notice. Thank you for putting your buddies' lives ahead of your own. Thank you for putting yourself in harm's way. Thank you for defending our freedom, for displaying your honor, for being a hero, even though you don't want to be called one. For all this and more, DAV thanks you, and we're here to help you. Expert DAV advisors will make sure you get the health, disability, and financial benefits you were promised and earned. If you're a veteran who's coming home, visit DAV.org for free help. And again, thank you.
Today might be the day I drop out of school. Today could be the last day I try. My parents alone can't stop me. My friends can't even stop me. But you might be able to. With United Way, you could tutor me, be my mentor, or volunteer to just read with me. If someone had helped me earlier, I might not be struggling. And studies prove that kids who read well by 3rd grade are more likely to graduate. There are tons of ways people like you can help kids like me stay in school. And United Way is calling for you to be one of them. Because it takes 12 years to create a graduate. It takes about the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between me becoming one or the other could be you. Make me a success, not a statistic.
Take the pledge to volunteer now at unitedway.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Come on, smile. Oh, honey, he's still not smiling.
Maybe he's not a smiler.
Yeah, maybe he's just not a happy baby.
Maybe he's just being a boy.
Or maybe he's teething.
Maybe it's just a phase.
Maybe he has autism, and we can definitely do something to help.
Maybe is all you need to find out more about autism. No big, joyful smiles by 6 months is one early sign. Learn the others at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Columbia's local talk radio experience. This is The Point. 95.9 FM and 1470 AM.
Can my honey come back? Sometime I'm on a red back jack. Sometime I get a hump in my back. Sometime I'm going over here. Sometime can my honey come back? Sometime I'm on a red back jack.
Welcome back to The Principle on 95.9 The Point. Yeah, 95.9 FM, 1470. I felt like I said something wrong. I was going back over it. 1470 AM, or you're listening online at makethepointradio.com. The number, if you want to call in and join us here, is 803-799-8255. That's 803-799-8255. And going right back to the phone lines, we have David on the line. David.
Yeah, I just believe that we need to make it easier for people to walk away from the police, and the police need to be given new instructions. If you stop a person for this taillight situation, then that's what the charge is going to be. The charge is not going to morph into resisting arrest, disrespecting, talking back, or any of that nature. You're going to get charged for that dang taillight.
Why should you even be stopped for a taillight in the first place?
That's just an example, okay?
So
taillight may be,
I mean, personally, do you think that having a broken taillight should warrant you a visit from the goons?
No, I don't. But I mean, we have to deal with what we have.
So when should you have people with guns come after you?
If you're going after someone else with a gun, or going after them with a gun, or if you're fighting a legitimate war that you voluntarily signed up to fight.
So, David,
are you defending yourself?
So people who create victims of other people should be the only ones that actually have to be, kidnapped by these people? The police, I mean?
That are harming someone else?
Right.
So if your actions are not harming anyone else, you shouldn't be you should not have anyone interfere with you, right?
No, not, especially not in an aggressive, adverse, negative, or what have you way. No, not in a violent way. I agree with you guys from that.
So maybe it's not training, and maybe we actually need a lot less laws.
Exactly. That was my point.
No, check this out. Rome wasn't built in a day, and three of you know it.
But if you can retrain, you can cut laws. You're talking about doing something, you can do the other. Why is one feasible and not the other? That's the point.
We have to take baby steps. You're not going to get these people to go leaps and bounds.
David,
you know it.
David, people are being murdered in the streets for no good reason. I'm not about taking baby steps when it comes to stopping that.
So then what are we going to do, Corey?
Well, personally, I think that one big step is that we got to quit putting cops on a pedestal, number one. Number two, I think that if more people defended themselves against cops, you would see some of this slow down. But number three, I think that we have to realize that cops look at us as the enemy. They look at the streets as a war zone, and we are the enemy, and we are subhuman, and they are...
We are the sheep, and they are the sheepdogs.
Well, yeah, and when they're really actually the wolves.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you.
I think that when you have a situation like Baltimore where people are fed up and they're rioting, you direct your anger at the right people, and then you demand that they put a stop to it, that they quit harassing people, they quit arresting people for victimless crimes. That there's no longer going to be peace in the streets until they start treating people like human beings. Because they've stopped. They don't treat people like human beings. They treat us like subjects, like animals, to be extorted from, to be kidnapped, and to be otherwise abused. And until it's made clear that there's not going to be peace until that mess stops, they're just going to keep on, and it's only going to get worse. And
I agree with you. I just don't believe that you're going to be able to push a button. You have more faith in it than I do.
I don't actually. I might sound like I do, but I really don't. I think it's going to get a lot worse before it gets any better. I'll tell you that.
I'm glad I'm old.
Yes, sir.
All
right, David.
I enjoyed the show.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. We got another caller on the line. Thank you for calling, David.
All right, we got Cameron on the line. Cameron, what do you want to talk about?
Hey, I just kind of want to build off the caller before me, or not really build off disagree. I really think we should vilify people like Al Sharpton, people like that, because all they do they're empowering ignorance. That's all they're doing. They're not empowering for a change. They're empowering for their media, their media fame. It's ridiculous. You see them follow any kind of racial violence that happens. You see, Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson just pop up, and they want to get their 5 minutes of fame. And I just don't see why we still keep these people, I guess, paid.
Yeah, I think for me, I think it's important for people to stop believing that the quote black community needs a leader. They say that Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson are the quote leaders of the black community, and most people I know are starting to disagree with that. Like who are if you see a soccer riot, who's the leader of the white community that's going to come out and speak about the violence that the hooligans have committed?
Right.
Yeah, I don't think that they need to be vilified. I mean, I think that everybody needs to quit looking for a leader of any sort.
Exactly.
I mean, lead yourself first and foremost, and be a leader yourself. If you think that the community needs a leader, be one yourself. But I don't like the idolization of anyone. Right? Actors, actresses, sports figures, politicians, Jesse Jackson.
To take his point into a different direction, I think what he's saying is that these people like Al Sharpton, they're collectivizing the community.
Yeah, they're homogenizing, collectivizing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
And the
so
internet
what
out
you were
there.
just saying, like during the riots and stuff like that, when they're just screaming for justice and screaming for that, I mean, that's what's empowering. They don't really. There's no movement for a change. And at the same time, I feel like we as a whole, or we as a country, segregate ourselves. Not in the sense that there's still active segregation, a black fountain, white wire fountain, et cetera, but just the fact that we have such separate cultures.
Well, I mean, some of that's natural. I think that happens naturally somewhat. I mean,
yeah, of course.
But you know, a lot of it's used to manipulate politics. I mean, they divide and conquer, and I mean, it's always red against blue, white against black, rich against poor. I mean, that's what keeps politics going. And so when you break down those walls, then they won't have anything to do, and they don't want that. They always want fighting all the time. Because when it gets down to all we have is contracts and handshakes, they won't have a job.
Yep.
And that's their fear. So they have to continually make us fight each other. So,
to move on to your I guess not legalization, but the drug prohibition segment that you're going on. I think what really is going to take us as a country to change any kind of prohibition or anything like that is just new blood, basically, in the Senate and the House. I mean, there's people that hold too much power and have held it for too long. That if they jump ship from the what's called reefer madness, prohibition type craze, that they'll lose their constituents. And I feel like that as a whole, I mean, I really feel like the two-party system as a whole just holds our country back. But
yeah, it's progressing. It's a slow thing, but it's progressing.
The Hegelian dialectic, like you're talking about.
We have one other caller too. So
Cameron, thank you for calling us.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for listening.
All right, we have Tiffany on the line. Tiffany, what do you want to talk about?
Oh, am I there?
You sure are. You're live.
Hi, guys. I'm calling because I was very concerned about the Jade Hill 15.
Yeah.
And I started looking at this, and somebody else made a notice to me. They said, "Hey, if you notice that the map for the states that are doing Jade Hill are really, if you look at Yellowstone and the supervolcano there, they kind of go around that same perimeter of zone 5 of the states that would be surviving. That would be your battlefront states, zone 5 and zone 6, for the aftermath of the eruption. And I think that this Jade Helm, I'm starting to believe it's actually a readiness exercise for this kind of situation.
For what kind of situation?
For the supervolcano. It's just I know it's a conspiracy thing, and it's.
No, the potential for a supervolcano is not a conspiracy thing. That's actually a big potential, and they even found something. They found something recently. I saw briefly in the news. There was some other thing that they just discovered under Yellowstone area that makes it even more potential. So.
Really?
We're coming right back. Can you hold on?
Yes.
All right, guys, you're listening to The Principle on 95.9 The Point. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this.
Columbia's FM talk station.
What do you want to talk about? I don't know. What do you want to talk about?
This is The Point, conveniently located at 95.9.
Okay, let's say your business does $5,000, $20,000, $100,000 or more in monthly revenue. There are probably times when you need more cash flow to run your business, right? Right. If you're a business owner in this situation, you need to call the Merchant Cash Advance line right now. We're not a bank and we don't have bank rules. We're a direct lender with the power to approve deals. We look at your business and we decide how much money to lend you, good credit or bad credit. If your business is solid, we can lend you up to $500,000. You can use the money for anything you think is right to run your business. If you need money and you don't want to deal with a bank, call now. Learn how easy it is to get up to $500,000 in as little as 2 to 3 days.
Call now. 800-760-5081. 800-760-5081. 800-760-5081. That's 800-760-5081.
WQXL Columbia, W240 AM, WTQS Cameron, Columbia's local talk radio experience. The Point, 95.9 FM, 1490 AM
From
Orangeburg.
ABC News, I'm Richard Cantu. Survivor stories from the wake of the Nepalese earthquake. More than 2,500 are known to have been killed in the powerful quake. ABC's Alex Marquardt talked to one survivor in Kathmandu.
Abigail Hunter, the sister of an ABC News producer, was in a shop when it hit.
The building on top of it completely collapsed, so if we hadn't moved as quickly, we would probably also be in that pile of rubble.
The U.S. announcing today it is sending a plane with an advanced search and rescue team, specialized equipment, as well as a helicopter to help with the effort.
ABC's Alex Marquardt in Kathmandu. Come Tuesday, the Supreme Court takes arguments on same-sex marriage. When it struck down portions of the federal gay marriage ban 2 years ago, the court did not address the validity of state bans. Justice Anthony Kennedy was the key vote then, and Ryan Anderson of the Heritage Foundation expects he'll be a factor in this decision.
If Justice Kennedy is going to rule consistently with what he said 2 years ago, he needs to say that the states have the authority to define marriage for themselves.
Chad Griffin of Human Rights Watch notes Justice Kennedy 2 years ago asked about the thousands of children being raised by same-sex couples.
More than 200,000 children in this country today are being raised by same-sex parents. They deserve the same rights, protections as everyone else.
A ruling expected in late spring. Griffin and Anderson on ABC's This Week. Baltimore Mayor Stephanie Rawlings-Blake blaming agitators for violence during a demonstration in the police custody death of Freddie Gray that had started peacefully.
We cannot and will not let a minority of incendiary individuals exploit the honorable intentions of those trying to exercise their rights.
34 people were arrested. 6 police were hurt following a U.S. Education Department fine of $30 million for misrepresentation. For-profit Corinthian Colleges is shutting down its remaining 28 campuses, displacing about 16,000 students nationwide. You're listening to ABC News.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-436-0169 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-436-0169 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-436-0169. That's 1-800-436-0169. Again, 1-800-436-0169.
Political consultant and author Peter Schweitzer is about to publish Clinton Cash. It alleges that some donors to the Clinton Foundation received favors while Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State, although he acknowledges there's no direct evidence to back the allegations.
The smoking gun is in the pattern of behavior.
Schweitzer on ABC's This Week broadcast.
We don't have direct evidence, but it warrants further investigation because, again, this is part of a broader pattern. You either have to come to the conclusion that these are all coincidences or something else is afoot.
The book is set for a May 5th release. Lawyers are now dipping a toe into a new field, the multi-billion-dollar marijuana industry.
California and more than 20 other states have legalized marijuana for medical use. The drug's been approved for recreational use in Colorado, Oregon, Washington State, Alaska, and Washington, D.C., with other states expected to vote next year. As pot goes mainstream, some law firms have started marijuana divisions. They advise on issues such as where pot-related businesses can locate, what their websites and product labels can say, and how to vet new clients. Firms see a lucrative new industry but are being cautious since marijuana remains illegal under federal law. Deirdre Bryant, ABC News.
A court in southern Russia sentenced one young woman to 15 days in jail and 2 others to 10 days each for making a video of themselves twerking next to a World War II memorial. It's an emotionally charged time as Russia celebrates the 70th anniversary of the defeat of the Nazis next month. This is ABC News.
This is Lori Grenier. You've seen me on Shark Tank hearing pitches from small businesses. Now there is a new way for small businesses to get a loan in minutes. It's called Cabbage. That's Cabbage with a K. Just fill out the application online. You'll get an instant decision and could have access to a line of credit of up to $100,000. No waiting, no hassle. Cabbage is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and is a Forbes Top 100 company. Go to Cabbage.com, that's Cabbage with a K, Kabbage, or call 888-CABBAGE.
Richard King.
Answering the call. Running in when everything you feel says run out. Pushing yourself beyond your known limits to help. Living to tell the story. As a kid, you dreamed of being a firefighter one day. Now, the opportunity is yours. Answer the sound of sirens and live your dream. Become a part of a team, a family. Visit scvolunteerfire.org to find out more.
This is The Point. 95.9 FM and 1470 AM.
All right, folks, you're listening to The Principle on 95.9 The Point, 95.9 FM, 1470 AM, or at MakeThePointRadio.com if you're listening online. You can also listen on your TuneIn app on your Android or iPhone. I'm having some mic problems here. Thank you, Corey. So we were talking about, we have Tiffany on hold, and we were talking about Jade Helm. We covered Jade Helm last week, and Tiffany called in to bring something else up. Can we go back to Tiffany? Tiffany.
I'm here.
Okay, so you were saying that you were reading about like a supervolcano in Yellowstone?
Yes. I've been concerned about Yellowstone for a while because it's overdue to go. And it seems like the biggest thing.
So, Tiffany, I will say this. What Jade Helm is a preparation for exercising martial law over a group of people. That's what they're even saying it is, right? They're not really saying much more than that, but the deduction is that it's training for something to go on somewhere other than the United States. But I don't know why it matters. It's a distinction without a difference.
Yeah, they're training in the United States to go into the cities in Iraq that look just like cities in the United States.
Right, basically. Like, to me, does it? If they're on, if it's against posse comitatus, to be training in and amongst civilians. Period. I mean, to be doing a police action with the military on American soil. It's not only a violation of posse comitatus, it's a violation of anything that is moral and just. But so let's just say that they are only preparing to do something somewhere else. Does it matter if they're training in and amongst civilians here? I mean, that's bad enough.
Why would they train to do that when they've been doing that for years now? Why would they train people to do something here that they've been doing over there for years?
Exactly.
Why would they train suddenly decide
they've been kicking down doors
in
Iraq and Afghanistan ever since it started?
I think they're actually training to be able to do it here. I mean, I don't know. I'm just going down. I'm going down the path of let's just pretend that they're not right. Even if they're training here to be able to do it somewhere else, they're still wrong for training here in amongst civilians. Period. So even the best case scenario is it's still immoral, unjust, and wrong. And potentially illegal, but I think personally that what they're doing is preparing to enact, I think training to be able to enact martial law.
Tiffany, if you watch some of you can find a lot of these videos online. They're training to. They have like mock protesters set up, and they'll have the protester actors yelling at the National Guard or no, it's actually the Army Special Forces yelling at the military people in training. And then the military team will have to like subdue them, take them in, and what they're mainly training for is for riots. I think it has very little, if anything at all, to do with a supervolcano.
I think they're trying to get people accustomed to seeing military.
Yeah,
in the
I also think it's desensitization.
They're desensitizing. They march. So you think it's normal?
They march like
that makes the most sense to me. Yeah, I agree with that.
They march like 200 or more soldiers in a line through this residential neighborhood and. Where was it, Colorado, California, or something? And then in Florida, they were dropping off and taking off Black Hawk helicopters and dragging people in these bags through the streets and like in downtown Fort Lauderdale. I think it's desensitization. I think it's training for martial law here. I don't think it has anything to do with the volcano. To be honest,
guys, trying really hard to have some sort of comfort here.
What is it?
Yeah.
What comfort does it give
would
you
be
training for the volcano?
Yeah, it would be more comforting that there was a super volcano about to erupt, I think, for me.
Not with me, because it's not. To me, if they're going to enact martial law for a volcano or martial law because of riots, it's both just horrifically bad.
If weather can bring
idea,
about martial law,
where are we in society that these people actually think that you would need to enact martial law when it comes to a
how would that
natural disaster?
help? Are they going to shoot the lava?
They're going to shoot the lava. They're going to shoot people that are running from it.
Right. Yeah, shoot the people running from the lava.
No.
So either way, either way, it's evil.
The story about training for Iraq and other areas, it just doesn't hold any kind of water because they've already been over there. They've already trained for that.
They're training there.
They've also, let's be honest, they haven't done a very good job. Maybe they do need training.
Yeah. They accidentally kill a lot of people over there.
That place is a fuster cluck.
Yeah.
And somebody, either the people at the top or the people at the bottom or everybody in between haven't been doing a very good job.
Yeah, somebody's really not good.
Now, I don't think they should be over there at all. I think bring everybody home, just whatever. But maybe they do need training. I don't know.
But he's really not doing a good job, you think?
Right.
Really?
Americans need to be trained not to put up with this mess as well.
That's what it is.
Okay,
yeah, we need to be trained to comply.
Thanks for calling.
Thanks, Tiffany.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. Drug prohibition.
Drug prohibition. Let's get right back into it.
Drugs shouldn't be illegal. It only creates black markets. It creates an incentive for drug dealers. But here's the thing. Who benefits? What are the two main groups that benefit from drug prohibition?
Private prisons. Prisons in general, right? You don't think so?
Yeah, somewhat.
The police and the drug dealers.
Oh yeah, the drug dealers. If you're listening and you're a drug dealer, you need to say a prayer to thank the drug war every day for keeping you in business. If it weren't for the drug war, you would need a business license and you'd have to pay all these taxes on the weed.
You'd make a lot less money.
You'd make a lot less money, and the government would take a lot more money.
I don't know how you get that because I still buy my beer out of a bathtub down at Joe's.
I do too. I do too.
I don't go in the store and get one that's pasteurized in a can and everything.
Yeah,
I get one that's got soap and stuff clean in the bathtub.
What I don't get is all of the horrifically bad drugs that are out there that are legal are somehow okay.
Yeah,
but
look at the pharmaceutical.
Look
at the pharmaceutical industry.
Right.
And the side effects of pot. Compared to the side effects of like Valium or something, or even these
the addictive nature of methadone or the addictive nature of OxyContin,
right?
Versus weed,
right?
Like that, it's.
I'm not even worried about the addictive nature.
Only
either.
The U.S. government. Well, yeah, I know.
I think it has more to do with the individual using it, whether or not they're going to be addicted.
Only the U.S. government would think it's a good idea to outlaw plant.
Yeah.
Something that grows.
Several plants are actually.
Did you see that? Did you see the video of there was somebody up in, I can't remember if it was Indiana or Ohio, that saved up a bunch of pot seeds and went and planted them in all the planters around the police station?
Yeah, I love that guy.
Yes, that guy is my hero. And so they had these big weed plants growing up, marijuana plants.
Yeah, like at the Capitol building and the police station and stuff. Yeah, just pot plants sprouting up.
That's so awesome.
They should have arrested all the cops.
So here,
they should have asked they're in possession.
Building.
Yeah.
Yes, they should have taken the building.
They should have took the police headquarters.
So here's the thing. Here's the other thing too is that I don't know what the critical mass number is, but if enough people disobey the law, they can't enforce the law.
Right.
And that's the whole problem. Is the reason they can enforce all this stuff is because of fiat currency. I mean,
it's expensive too.
Yeah, there's no end to the amount of money they can print.
They just print money, so they can have a war on everything.
Yeah,
and
if this was like if this was a private business who had to do all this, they would go out of business.
Yes,
there's no way they could sustain themselves. No, and who would want to subscribe to that business anyways?
Oh, with fiat currency, you could have a war on nighttime.
Yeah,
seriously, a war on poverty. Print more money, make us all poor.
All right, guys, you're listening to The Principle on 95.9 The Point. We'll be right back after this break.
Follow and Echo. This is The Point at 95.9 FM and 1470 AM.
Since 1989, The Office Place has been the Midland's premier destination for new and pre-owned office furniture. The Office Place is a full-service dealership, providing layout, design, installation, and service after the sale. So, if you're in the market for office furniture, look them up at officeplace.net, give them a call at 803-799-3375, or head over to 301C Greystone Boulevard here in Columbia, South Carolina.
We were rolling down this road in
Anbar Province.
3 personnel carriers
with 16 of us on board.
All of a sudden,
there's a huge explosion.
We knew right away
it was an IED. The first vehicle
got wasted, and those guys took
a huge hit.
Then we started taking
sniper fire and RPGs from the hills.
In today's military, women face the same dangers as men.
It's pretty amazing.
We made it out alive.
But when they come home, women veterans confront a whole different set of challenges, like unique healthcare issues, or not receiving respect or even acknowledgement for serving in harm's way. DAV understands the problems women veterans face, and we can help. Many DAV advisors are female veterans. They've been there, and they're ready to provide expert guidance. DAV fights to get you the health, disability, and financial benefits you were promised and earned. If you're a veteran, visit DAV.org for free help.
Today in school, I learned a lot. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me. In English, I learned that I'm disgusting. And in physics, I learned that I'm a loser.
Today in school, I learned that I'm ugly and useless. And in gym, I learned that I'm pathetic and a joke. In history, I learned that I'm trash.
Today in school, I learned that I have no friends. In English, I learned that I make people sick. And at lunch, I learned that I sit on my own because I smell. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me.
In biology, I learned that I'm fat and stupid. And in math, I learned that I'm trash.
The only thing I didn't learn in school today?
The only thing I didn't learn today.
The only thing I didn't learn?
Is why no one ever helps.
Kids witness bullying every day. They want to help, but they don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
When I served in Iraq and Afghanistan, my buddies and I would do anything for each other. That's important whether you're in a firefight or fighting to regain your life. When I came home injured, there are people I can count on, like DAV.
DAV, Disabled American Veterans, stands behind America's veterans to make their transition back home easier with free services and help getting the benefits they've earned. Help us fulfill the promise to our men and women who served. Go to DAV.org to learn more.
Columbia's local talk radio experience. This is The Point. 95.9 FM and 1470 AM.
All right, folks, you're listening to The Principle on 95.9 The Point, 95.9 FM, 1470 AM, online at makethepointradio.com, and on your Android or iPhone at TuneIn. We're talking about drugs. Corey, we're talking about drug prohibition. What do you want to get back to on this?
Yeah, we're talking about drug prohibition. So the war on drugs creates... well, we can tie it into the stuff that's going on in Baltimore by talking about how the war on drugs has turned so many black communities into it's encouraged cops to become abusive, and to target black communities.
It encourages cops to be in those neighborhoods, period.
Yes. So when you mix poverty, more impoverished neighborhoods with drug prohibition, what you get is people who can pull themselves up out of poverty by selling drugs because it's so profitable. Mm-hmm. And so you create this perfect storm, if you will, where the not as impoverished societies calling for clamp down on drugs, and the cops are coming in and targeting people in these neighborhoods, and they use drugs as an excuse.
Yeah, and the average person thinks if we can just get these drugs out of there, the community will fix itself. But what you're really doing is sending people in there to just victimize and harass the community even more.
Harm should be like a fire.
Go on.
When you have a fire, you call the fireman.
Right.
When you have a harm, you should call the police.
Starting
Firemen don't go around starting
fires so they can put them out.
Yeah.
Well, the way I look at it too is that as long as you're not hurting anyone else, it shouldn't be illegal. So if you want to put a substance into your body, then so be it. At the point where you get to where you're hurting someone else, well, then we'll talk about that particular crime.
Well, evidently we're losing that argument because now they try to tell you what you can eat and put in your body, what size drinks you can drink,
what can be forcefully injected into you.
It's insane.
Yeah, vaccinations.
Yeah.
Who was it? Ben Carson, I think, said you don't have the right to not get a vaccine. Basically, they're the media.
The conservative man.
Yeah, the conservative. Yeah, the media right now is drumming up a lot of pro-vaccination stuff. The government really cares about what you put in your own body. It seems
they care about money,
right?
And one of the they care about justifying their expense spending and justifying higher taxes, and people pay higher taxes because they're worried about those evil drugs coming in.
You got to have a boogeyman, that way you can have something to tell the people you can protect them from.
Yeah.
All right. Looks like we got a caller. We're going to go to Owen. Owen, you're on the air.
Hey, speaking. Hello.
Hey, what's up, man?
Not too much. How are you today?
I'm good. What you want to talk about?
Not too much. Actually, we have to get down. Okay, so we all agree, right, as a community, that drugs should be legal.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Okay,
what?
cool.
What?
We all agree that drugs should be legal as a community.
As a community, I don't know.
Us in this room?
The three of us plus you, I think we all agree to that.
In this community on the radio that we're talking.
Yeah, exactly. The four of us, community, agree.
Okay, yeah.
Drugs should be
Sure.
legal.
Our producer
Cool.
agrees too, so I guess. So 5 of us.
Is he nodding his head? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, here's the thing. So you're talking about the war on drugs, but here's the question. Why is the government even involved in the war on drugs? Well, what I do in my own house is my own thing. And for the record, gentlemen, I don't do drugs at all.
Neither do I.
But I agree that anybody that wants to do whatever they want, let them do it.
So is that a hypothetical question, or are you really looking for an answer? Because I can give you an answer.
Okay, you can give me an answer, but that wasn't a question.
Okay. Then go ahead then. Oh, I thought you were okay. So the answer is because so much of this country and the underlying beliefs of people in this country are driven by an area of the country that has deep-seated puritanical beliefs. The belief that you should control other people and other people should be clean and pure and should, it's based on Puritanism. Is the only way. Is the quick answer I can give you.
That is an extremely quick answer, sir, but I don't really think that really is getting to the root of what you're trying to talk about. What you're trying to talk about is the government's involvement in drugs, not the people.
No,
I'm lost.
What do you?
Well, no, you're talking about law enforcement, right?
Take us where you're trying to go, Corey.
Okay. You're talking about the law enforcement of the drugs, right?
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, if that's what you're talking about, then don't bring the people into it. That's a completely different issue. The community of Americans have changed over time, and there are how many states now that allow pot?
2.
2, and they're working on a couple more. Yeah.
2 for recreational. There's more than that for medical.
And so, I mean, the progress will change. The people will change over time. But you just have to allow the people to change over time. However, what you're arguing about is the law enforcement.
I'm arguing about all of it.
Yeah, well, it's all of it. I mean,
I have a problem with all of it. I mean, I have a problem with people that think that somebody who puts something into their own body should be. I mean, just like people who think that two consenting people having a sexual encounter have to be of a certain sex.
Prostitution. I mean, whatever.
I have a problem with all of that. I mean,
exactly.
I have a problem with the people, and I have a problem with the enforcers. I have a problem with all of it. Leave me the heck alone. If I'm not harming anybody, leave me alone.
People only evolve with what the state will let you evolve with their propaganda. This stuff was only happened because of the propaganda they put forth to start with. This wasn't a natural occurrence. People didn't just come out and say, I want to control my neighbor's freedom.
Well, William Randolph Hearst was majorly behind the drive to outlaw marijuana, specifically because it was too much competition for his paper production. And that whole reefer madness thing, that was driven by William Randolph Hearst. So, it's propaganda driving the minds of the people into.
Well, then, sir, I have a question to ask you. Who made quote unquote reefer illegal?
Who made what again?
Who made pot illegal?
Reefer illegal.
The politicians.
Okay, so it's a state problem, not a population problem.
Yeah, it's a government law problem.
Yeah, it's a problem. Yeah, ultimately, it's a problem with the state.
But they get
law.
people to back it with their slogans, and they get people to believe through talking heads on the radio and TV.
The state is
it's harmful.
The state is the one that has the power through the police to actually enforce these rules. But a lot of times it's the people. They end up getting the people behind these same unjust causes and going along with it.
But like I was saying earlier, if they didn't have the money to enforce it, it wouldn't happen anyway, no matter what they thought, because people aren't going to pony up money to do that.
Yeah.
They do it. They do it because it's free money. If they've said, "Well, write me a check for $100, and then we'll talk about prosecuting that guy," well, we don't need to prosecute him after all.
Yeah,
money
would
talks.
change. Yeah, because they can steal from us through inflation.
Right.
It's not a direct tax, so they. Yeah, I mean, if you had to actually write a check to them for that, I mean, that's the whole W-2 withholding too. Milton Friedman's deal, but ultimately, I think that any individual, regardless of whether or not they are a politician or a non-politician or a cop or a non-cop, anybody who wants to control what someone else does in the confines of their own home with consenting adults is an immoral person. I mean, that's and I think that the other thing that I really believe wholeheartedly in is calling people out on a daily basis. One of the things, I grew up in the South, and one of the things that frustrates me to no end is this whole drive to be overly polite in the South, which means taking it on the chin when you shouldn't have to.
I'll take it on the chin right now, and I'll stop you. Is that not what you were just talking about?
No.
I'll take it on the chin right now.
No, I'm not meaning that.
Oh, okay. Well, you said Southern people are very polite. I was holding my breath because I didn't want to interrupt you. However, what you're forgetting is it's not the people that are stopping it. It's law enforcement. So what you're talking about is state regulation.
Yeah, but if the people didn't support it enough, for instance, if you had 50,000 people show up at the State House tomorrow and light up a joint, they can't arrest everybody. I mean, so
people have things to do, sir. I mean, laundry has to be washed, work has to be done.
Exactly. That's why things just go forward.
But that's not that. I think you're missing my point. Is that the law enforcers are the ones that are enforcing it, but if the people didn't tolerate that in enough mass, I don't know what the critical mass number is. If they didn't tolerate that, it wouldn't be able to go on.
They wouldn't get
I
funded.
think we're about to reach critical mass, sir. That's the thing.
I hope so.
I hope so.
We're about to reach critical mass, but instead of blaming law enforcement or the population, we need to look critically at why this policy is actually in place and blame the people that actually created it, which are politicians.
Right.
Well, no. And I think the police enforcing these laws have a bit of responsibility in themselves too. If
everybody's responsible for
the ones who actually point a gun at someone or abduct someone or kidnap or lock someone in a cage bear a lot of responsibility too. If they're
that's fair. But to a degree, they own. I mean, if wherever you work, if your boss tells you this is what you have to do, then that's what you have to do.
No. You take responsibility for your own actions. Somebody tells you to kill somebody. Exactly. There's your answer. So you have to question what's the ethics of the people that will follow answers that are or orders that are unethical. So there's your answer.
I don't know if you want to say that, sir, because you're questioning the ethics of Columbia PD. You're questioning.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we all agree on that.
God, yes.
100%.
Please, God, yes. Yeah, Columbia PD is unethical. I can tell you that. I don't even need to question. I know they're unethical. I mean, they're cops. So what do? They first of all, they're paid with stolen money to begin with.
Hey, Owen, we got to let you go. We're coming up on a hard break. All right.
All right. Cool. Thank you.
Thanks for your call.
WTQS Cameron, Columbia's local talk radio experience. The Point, 95.9 FM, 1470 AM, 1490 AM Orangeburg.
The U.S. is dispatching help to Nepal, where a magnitude 7.8 earthquake has killed at least 2,500 people.
The American search and rescue team headed to Nepal will immediately begin looking for survivors in collapsed buildings. The team of 58 firefighters from Virginia is bringing along 45 tons of equipment to help with the search. An additional disaster assistance team will provide humanitarian relief and determine future U.S. help. The C-17 taking the teams to Nepal will refuel in midair multiple times to get them there faster. Louis Martinez, ABC News.
The Clinton Foundation is acknowledging it made mistakes in how it disclosed donors. A book by a political consultant coming next month alleges some foundation donors received favors while Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State. The book offered no direct evidence of that. A wake in Baltimore for Freddie Gray, the man who inexplicably died in police custody following an arrest. 34 people were arrested Saturday when violence erupted during a demonstration that had started peacefully. Richard Cantu, ABC News.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our Better Business Bureau A-rated team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Call now for a free case review and a low price guaranteed quote to get you protected today. Call now, 800-881-9393. That's 800-881-9393. U.S. Tax Shield, 800-881-9393.
Hi, it's Practical Polly's radio show. If you're just figuring out that healthier cooking oils are better than solid fats, you may be asking, now what am I going to do with all these tubs of lard? Ever had one of those moments when your favorite skinny jeans feel too tightly tailored? Generously apply lard to your hips and thighs and those fancy pants will slide on like a dream. Or here's a family-friendly idea. How about making your yard into a lard fun park? Frost your driveway with a nice thick coating and give those kiddos a downhill thrill no matter what time of year. Having a bad hair day? Yep. A little lump of lard can tame your flyaways in a jiffy. So there's no need for that lard to go to waste or to your waste. But get your best heart-healthy trade-up with healthier oils like canola, olive, or other vegetable oils, which can actually lower your chances for heart disease. Now that's a tip worth keeping for life. Learn more at heart.org/FaceTheFats. Canola Info is the national supporter of the American Heart Association's Face the Fats campaign.
How's it going? I'm having a stroke. Are you going to shake my hand? I'm having a stroke. Wow, you're not even moving your arm. I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear. Look for FAST. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911 immediately. Know the sudden signs. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
The Point, 95.9 FM, 1470 AM, and MakeThePointRadio.com.
All right, guys, we're back. You're listening to The Principle on 95.9 The Point, 95.9 FM, 1470 AM. or online at makethepointradio.com or on your cell phone with the TuneIn app. The number, if you want to call in, is 803-799-TALK. That's 803-799-8255. We're discussing right now drug prohibition.
Yeah, just what we were discussing. I was saying, too, that I feel like...
yeah, you were talking about Southern people being polite.
Is too polite to me. I don't like the whole over-the-top, scream at everybody, Yankee mentality either. But I feel that you should be more willing to call a spade a spade. So, and I think that there's an aspect of Southern culture that shies away from that. For instance, somebody breaks in line in front of you, at the grocery store or whatever. Southerners, I notice, have a tendency to kind of, we'll just let that slide. We'll look the other way, and I'll be the bigger person, and because that kind of stuff happens, and whatever. And I don't believe in that. If you break in line, I'm going to call you on it, and I've done it more than one time, and I get all kinds of...
How often do you get cut in line?
It's only happened like once or twice in the last 3 or 4 years, but I remember it because you remember all the dirty looks and everything you get. People just think that there's something wrong with you for actually calling the person out.
Right.
And I think that's a problem in Southern culture that really needs to change, that people like Lindsey Graham need to be pointed out for the thieves that they are. That they're nothing but a common thief. That's it. They have no skills in life, so they steal for a living and decree that people be stolen from, and that's it. And instead, we're just polite and no. You, and I can't say what if we weren't on air, I would say this completely differently, but you are a thief.
Mm-hmm.
That is what you are. You are nothing but a common thug, a common thief, an immoral person. And I think that kind of stuff needs to be pointed out more when you encounter it in public, when you're with friends, when you're with family. People need to be pointing out, you work for the government, you're a thief. You paid for with stolen money.
Mm-hmm. Taxation
is theft. Drug prohibition is wrong because it tells someone what they can and can't put in their body. Another one, we were going to talk, I don't know if we're going to end up having time to talk about, but gay marriage. Heterosexuals have done more to destroy the sanctity of marriage than gay married couples ever could possibly do. There just aren't enough gay people in the world to destroy the sanctity of marriage as holy WH.
I forgot which comedian it was, but he said that children of straight married couples are more likely to be gay than the children of gay married couples. There's this big argument about how gay married couples can't raise children because their kids will grow up to be gay, and he's like, no, grow up in a straight household, you'll end up being gay.
Yeah, because look at how marriage is.
Right,
so many
how married people
couples.
are. Right.
I mean, it's miserable. Mm-hmm. If two people love each other, who cares? I mean, as long as they consent, if they're consenting adults, it's none of my business. If you want to go fornicate with a farm animal, as long as you do it in your own home and the farm animal consents, then it's none of my business either. Like, why? And I'm not comparing homosexual people to, bestiality. I'm just saying that where you put your sexual organs is all I'm getting at.
Who have you been talking to?
Cam. But it's this idea that we need to control everybody, that in order to have a moral society, in order to have a good society and a moral society, we got to control people. I see this with a lot of the really Christian people, that we need to get back to God. But don't touch my Social Security. But we got to have roads. But wait a minute.
Yeah,
You're advocating that the country get back to God, but continue stealing from people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why
bombing
don't you
people? Those are the people that want to bomb everybody.
So here's the thing: if you're worried about homosexuality because you're worried about us being an immoral country, then you're a freaking moron. Is all I can tell you. You're beyond idiotic.
Yeah, if you think that
this country is built
problem
on theft. This country is built on murder, and you're worried about two consenting adults having sexual relations with each other, you're the immoral person. You're the one. We got to get back to God by stopping these homosexuals from having sex with each other. But keep on bombing them people over there in the Middle East.
Right.
Keep on stealing from us.
Right.
Taxation.
Keep on shooting everyone in the back.
Oh yeah, we got to stop. You are an immoral person if that's what you're worried about. I wish I could find more to say to fill up the time about gay marriage or about drug prohibition, but what it comes down to is what you do with your own body is your business.
Period. That's the whole problem with society, is it's turned into people wanting to dictate other people's lives instead of minding their own business, mind their own property, and that way they lose, because everybody wants to take the other person's freedom. You lose your own freedom,
right? Because
your neighbor wants your freedom.
Yep.
So it just all comes back around, and then they're the ones that cry and moan about being picked on when they're the ones want to do it to somebody else. I mean, it's just, they don't stop to think about what their own actions, their own philosophy are. You know, it's like, well, I want to, I want to stop them people from doing that, and I don't want to be forced to do this. Well, if you don't want to be forced to do this, then you don't want to force other people to do that.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's all about forcing people, often violently, into doing the things that you believe are right.
Yeah, you want to try to customize society.
So people never really question whether or not their actions are moral, because they say, well, this is a moral action. You should have to do this, so you should be forced to do it at gunpoint.
Right. And
that makes it moral. Whenever you force somebody, when you put a gun to their head to make them do something, that's a moral thing.
Right.
That's also called civilized, which is another thing I've never.
That's the cost of a civilized society.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't get that one either.
It's really ironic that theft, kidnapping, abduction, extortion, often murder, and things like that are.
That's just necessary.
That's the necessary ingredients of a polite society.
Caging people for smoking a plant. Yeah. That's just a necessary thing.
It's the casualty of the war.
Do you realize
of civility?
Do you realize how uncivilized things would be if we didn't have all of this murder and extortion and theft and abduction and kidnapping? Do you know how uncivilized it would be?
It'd be like the Amish. It'd be horrid.
Well, you know what's everywhere. You do realize that if we didn't have the state here to protect us, the warlords would take over, right?
Right, and they may even start stealing from us.
State.
Yeah,
and extort from us on a regular basis.
The state, it just
best I can tell, the
inherently,
warlords have taken over.
The state is funded by taxation, which is it's non-consensual. Therefore, your money's being taken whether you like it or not. That's called theft. And then, if you don't follow the laws of the state, you are met with violence. So the two main the MO for the state is operationally theft and violence. It's such a barbaric system from the core, from the very start of the system. They say, hey, let's rob and hurt people, and that's how we'll get everybody to not rob and hurt each other.
Like I was speaking earlier, anytime I've ever been to traffic court or any kind of thing to do with the police, they have lied every time. And you're raised.
You mean the police?
Yes, the police lie every time, and you're raised to think, it's a free country.
Yeah, and
everybody's the law is the right.
Right.
And the cops do the right thing.
And he was a cop. Cops don't lie.
They always lie. I've never been to traffic court, and they did not blatantly lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the judge knows they're lying and accepts it and says, well,
it doesn't matter, though, does it? It doesn't matter.
Well, it doesn't matter. You're the victim.
They're on the same team. What are you going to do?
Pay up.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, it's insanity to me that that's what people think constitutes a civilized society. It's the most uncivil thing there is.
And you hear them question, well, how are we going to make everything better?
Right. Who would stop the homosexual marriage if we didn't have a state?
Yeah.
Maybe two people that love each other should be married. I don't.
Maybe you shouldn't have to involve the state in your love
marriage.
Life.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't have marriage. Maybe it should just be cohabitation.
I'm all for monogamy and matrimony and that kind of thing, but why do you want to get the state involved with that? It's like Doug Stanhope said, if marriage didn't exist, would you invent it?
No.
No.
I wouldn't.
Or would you get the state involved?
I would admit
our love is so good.
Yeah.
The only thing that would be better is if we
had Lindsey Graham's stamp of approval.
We need to get the government in on this.
Yeah, get government on this. It makes it so much better. We get lawyers and contracts.
Here's the thing. Boil it down to what it is. The government or the state is a group of individuals. So why not call out the individuals instead of saying, well, I want to get the state involved. I want to get Jim Clyburn involved in my marriage. I want to get Joe Wilson involved in my marriage. I want Lindsey Graham and Tim Scott to have a say in what my marriage
and the
is.
entire Columbia Police Department.
Right, and the entire Columbia, yes.
All right, guys, you're listening to The Principal on 95.9 The Point. We're coming right back after this into our last segment. Stay tuned.
Hardest working man in radio. Hardest working man. I'm the hardest working man in radio. Kevin Cohen is doing mornings and afternoons on The Point.
If you or someone you love suffers from drug addiction, now is the time to utilize your private health insurance PPO plan. If eligible, receive up to $30,000 or more in substance abuse benefits with low or no out-of-pocket cost. We are the National Treatment Network, the premier drug and alcohol treatment referral service operating 24/7. We help connect you with facilities nationwide that accepts PPO private health insurance for substance abuse. If you have PPO substance abuse coverage and you need immediate admittance to a medical detox or residential rehab treatment center, call us now. Call our live referral helpline today. The call is free. This program is not available to Medicare or Medicaid customers.
Call 877-247-1584. 877-247-1584. 877-247-1584. That's 877-247-1584.
When I have an asthma attack, I feel scared. It's like tiny nails in the air poke my lungs. I start to cough. Sometimes my parents have to take me to the hospital.
Today, 1 out of 13 children suffer from some form of asthma, accounting for nearly 1/3 of all emergency room visits.
I feel like I'm choking. It's kind of like an elephant is on my chest. A little whistle sound comes out when I breathe.
But while your child may suffer from asthma doesn't have to make your child suffer. There are simple ways you can prevent your child's next attack. To learn more, log on to www.noattacks.org or call your doctor, because even one attack is one too many.
I feel like a fish with no water.
Brought to you by the EPA, the Ad Council, and this station.
Blue is my favorite color. What's yours? What's yours? Red is my favorite color. What's yours? What's yours?
Well, yeller's sweller for this little feller.
And me, I'm keen on green. So what's your favorite color? Tell us, please.
Kids will spend 20 minutes listening to songs like this.
What's your favorite color? Tell us, please. What's your favorite color? What's your favorite color? What's your favorite color? What's your favorite?
How about 2 minutes to brush their teeth? Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. 2 minutes twice a day. They have the time. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives and the Ad Council.
Columbia's local talk radio experience. This is The Point. 95.9 FM and 1470 AM.
Shut up and sit down.
All right, folks, we're back. Thanks for tuning in to this slightly rocky edition of The Principal on 95.9 The Point, 95.9 FM, 1470 AM, also online at MakeThePointRadio.com or on the TuneIn app.
Did you say rocky because we were talking about crack rock earlier? Is that what it was?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Okay.
Yeah, you see what I did there?
Yes.
That was not intended. Okay, so usually in the last segment of the show, we talk a lot about problems. So at the end, we try to talk about solutions. So, do we not? Am I wrong?
Yeah.
I'm getting some funny looks here.
Close enough. What is the solution? What is the solution to police brutality?
Well, there's several. We could start with
abolish
the police.
It always it always seems
get
to
rid of the victimless crime laws.
Why people? Okay, here's what I don't get. People, anybody you talk to knows that monopolies are bad, right?
Yeah.
They know that it's a bad idea. It's going to lead to high prices, bad services, just a bad service or product. Ultimately, is what you're going to end up with. Yet, those same people don't realize that the police are a monopoly. The
state is a monopoly.
The law enforcement, is a monopoly, and so when you monopolize this, not only are you creating a monopoly, but you're giving it guns and rights to kidnap people and put them in cages. Of all things, why should that be monopolized? Why should the police be monopoly? Because personally, I think the solution is
when somebody murders someone.
Right. Private police is my idea.
But how are they going to make somebody abide by that?
Well, the same way a cop makes you abide by whatever he's doing.
Well, but then how's that going to work? What, you don't like roads? Why don't you like roads?
Right. But I think if we had competition in the police market, then maybe the police would try and offer a better service.
Of course they would. They would be courteous and helpful.
I'd like to get online and
get
on Amazon maybe and shop for the police service that best suits my needs, you know?
Right. You could have it a la carte. You could have an insurance plan. I mean, you can have it any way you want it. And I don't know why people can't conceive of how
but when people
work.
hear that, they just see war. You know, they just they think you're going to have like warring factions of police, which just wouldn't happen.
You mean like militaries of countries? I mean warring factions of police is the equivalent of countries having militaries that are warring against each other.
Right.
I mean that's already happening, people. It's just that the geographical polygon in which you live, they've all agreed to not fight.
Right.
You know, I mean, the city of Columbia has agreed to not fight city of Casey.
Right.
That's the only difference. And, I mean, it's already warring factions. They just tend to be
I heard
countries.
Walter Block say something on the new video that was out that we all believe in anarchy anyway, because most people don't believe in one world government, so they believe in separation and competition and
polycentric law on a global scale.
Yeah, I mean, you believe in different areas having different governing bodies and everything else. You don't. Most people don't think a monopoly of having a one world government is a good idea.
But for some reason they like to tie it to geographical regions, and I don't get that. Why does it need to be tied to a certain geography? If it were, I mean, so Canada has a different set of laws than the United States, and that works.
Right. So why can't I have my property and your property? Right.
Why can't we have a group of people who are not within the same geographical boundaries, but that agree to be governed under a certain set of laws that are different from another group? Like, why is it that everybody thinks that you have to be within a polygon in order for that to work?
Yeah, everyone living within this massive polygon on the continent of North America has to follow the laws from mainly one city on that polygon.
Right. Yeah,
Washington,
D.C. I don't understand why it is that people think
it's really.
Does that sound like a good idea? America is very diverse, and many. I mean, we have all the different regions of America, and there's many different cultures in America. Yet people think it's a good idea that all the laws should come from D.C.
People that they continually criticize every day and call it a bunch of idiots. They support them ruling them,
and then go back and reelect them. I've never.
What is Congress's approval rate? Like 9%, and like 90% still get reelected.
I think that the bubonic plague has a higher approval rating than Congress.
Yeah,
and yet
the same people will go back and vote them back in again.
Yeah, over and over and over again. I think that actually AIDS and cockroaches have a higher approval rating than Congress.
At least cockroaches do something.
Yeah, they elect them because they don't want them other people, them other bad people to get elected.
Right.
So they have to, you have to vote in Lindsey Graham because somebody the other party might get in.
Right.
That's the whole mindset of the stupidity out there. It's just,
well, if I don't vote for Lindsey Graham, then the D's are going to win, and I like the R's because the R's, they use a little bit of lubrication whenever they,
What, Corey?
I was trying to think of a radio-friendly term here. They use and those D's, they don't use any lubrication.
Right.
So if I'm going to be violated, I like for them to have some lubrication. So I'm going to vote for the R. Even though they're evil, I like the evil that's not as evil as the other evils, because if we don't want evil to get in there. But so we got to have the lesser evil of the evils, but we just have to accept evil sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it never makes any sense.
Well, were your mother and father brother and sister? Really? I mean, seriously, I think your family tree is not a tree; it's just a log.
Yeah.
You know, there's no branches, there's no roots. It's just a log in the woods.
I saw something. I forget the exact quote, but I'm going to paraphrase it. It said that picking up a politician or a representative is like once a year opening up your septic tank and then pulling out one of the clumps and saying, "I like this one more than the rest."
I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
I use the bucket of excrement example.
Well, I mean,
this bucket has less excrement in it than that bucket over there. I like a bucket with less excrement. Really, I just like to have no bucket of excrement.
I want a clean bucket.
People can't put a reasonable argument together of why they have to have somebody to rule their life. You know,
well, it's not their life. It's always
they want
someone
to rule their neighbors'
Yeah,
life.
it's always to rule their
They don't
neighbors.
want their life ruled. They want to do what they want to do, but they don't. My neighbor likes to work on
in fact,
cars.
Chris, they're not the slaves; they're the masters.
That's
The
what
average
they think.
citizen is a master of his neighbor.
Because we are the government, right?
That's the
'cause we are
cruel trick.
The Jews committed suicide.
Yeah.
And during the Holocaust, they committed suicide because the people are the government.
So then everybody should go vote.
Hitler was duly elected, so the Jews committed suicide.
So everybody should go vote against income tax or cut it in half next time around, and I'm sure that would happen, right?
Not if you keep electing that warmongering Lindsey Graham. He's got to keep the money flowing into the war machine, because somewhere in the world there's some brown people that
aren't dead yet.
Freedom. Yeah, that aren't dead yet. They're still breathing. They've got one more breath coming out of them, and Lindsey Graham's going to go make sure that we take it to them, because if we don't take them to war over there, then we're going to have war over here.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
It looks like you're waging war actively against all of us here in the United States with this wholesale theft and coercion and abduction.
I'm afraid that they will come here and invade the United States as soon as they're afford, as soon as they can get enough shoes together and get their camels to somehow get across.
Right. As soon as they become civilized like us.
I can't.
I
never
read
can get over how
you guys probably saw that article on
are.
Facebook about how there's an ISIS camp in Mexico or something, like 4 miles from Texas.
No.
It was making the rounds on Facebook. It turns out it was a complete fabrication. It was just an absolute lie. Yeah, and it's all for so we can close the border because there's ISIS down there now. All they have to do is put ISIS somewhere, and they get what they want. The politicians.
Listen,
just say that ISIS is somewhere.
As long as they strike D.C., I might actually clap.
I don't think I would cry.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too broken up over it. Oops. Wait till the Congress is in session, though. Please. Wait till the Congress is in session, please. But you're not. I mean, I don't know. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. I just if ISIS is all powerful like they say they are, then they need to get their stuff in gear, because I might end up being free if they hit the right target.
They can't do anything until John McCain sends them another check.
Yeah,
that's it.
Oh yeah, that's what. How much time we have left, Drew? 30 seconds. Next week, I think we're going to talk about the FBI's role in terrorism, how the FBI often creates a terrorist threat and then sends us to war against it.
We might talk about something else, too.
We'll see what happens. Thanks for listening, guys. This has been The Principle on 95.9 The Point. Tune in next Sunday at 8 p.m.
Columbia's FM talk station.
What are you going to talk about? I don't know. What you want to talk about?
This is The Point, conveniently located at 95.9.
Confessions of a Potentially Perfect Parent, brought to you by AdoptUsKids.org.
I might look like an adult, like a person who could possibly be a parent, but I have no idea how to talk like one. And everyone knows that if you want to be a parent, you have to sound good when you say things like, "Don't make me turn this car around," or "because I said so," or "Don't make me come back there." I don't even really know what those things mean, but I know that I actually believed my parents when they said them to me. How did they manage to sound so convincing? Here we go. "Don't make me come back there." Ugh, no, that's not tough enough at all. Kids can sense weakness. "Don't make me come back there." Ooh, yeah, that's better. In fact, that kind of sounded like my dad. Weird.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who would love to listen to you practice your dad voice. Call 1-888-200-4005 or visit adoptuskids.org for more information. This message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt Us Kids, and the Ad Council.
WQXL Columbia, W240 AM, WTQS Canberra, Columbia's local talk radio experience. The Point, 95.9 FM.